Sure who's going to turn up, but let's see.
Hopefully subscribers will.
I know, exactly, but only if they've got the notification, as you said, and if they haven't put the notification up, then they might not. I don't know. Sure who's going to turn up, but let's see.
Hopefully. Are we live?
We are live. We are live. This is our this week's YouTube live on a different day. Oh, I can hear some background noise. I've muted my YouTube.
Right, I muted mine as well. I just it's good.
Oh, I don't think anyone's joining us yet, so we'll wait a few minutes. Like I said, I haven't sort of marketed this event, and normally we do these on a Wednesday lunchtime. So this is probably the first one we're doing on a Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's see if anyone is watching. Because we see there are two people, it might be just you and me. I
know, that's what I was thinking. If anyone else joins, let us know. I guess before we get started, we can, just fill everyone in on the week we've had. So obviously we did an event at Exeter University, which went really well. So that actually makes me think we should try some Facebook live streaming as well, potentially.
Yeah, I think we can do Facebook and this both. There must be something that we can put it on both, I think, potentially.
At the same time?
Yeah, at the same time.
I don't know, because in Zoom, you get an option of one place to live stream. So I'm not sure if you can do it exactly the same time. I think it makes sense. It would just be one. I don't know, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, or maybe we can just have another camera. I can put another one on, and then one's good.
Maybe.
So that we can have both things on.
That could work as well.
That could.
So Exeter University was great. I think there were at the busiest point during that event, there were 100 students watching live, which was amazing. And it was similar to what we do in these lives. It's just an open Q&A session, and we had some really good questions, actually, really, really interesting ones. Students from all sorts of backgrounds as well. So
and also a lot of people watching it after that, which is after the live. So there are about almost 8,000, they said. 8,000 views on the video. So
exactly.
So that's quite a lot of people watching, which is really good, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So that's one thing that Grad Careers Coach are trying to do more and more, which is to do more events with universities. So if you're watching this at a later point and you want to offer this to your university or to your International Student Society, please do let us know. And we're happy to come to a university and do a very similar event where we're just answering all your questions and focusing on international students' employability. So visa-related questions, industry-related questions, anything at all that covers your journey to securing a Tier 2 job in the UK.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I have a question, actually. I was just wondering, at this time of the year, we are coming to November. So a lot of students that has applied to their job at this time is probably the time that you kind of hear back. Is that right? Is that you hear back from the companies, from the application?
I think especially if you've started applying in September, October, then you should be getting responses by this point, definitely.
This is the time that you're getting the response, so you kind of know that whether you go through to the next stage or you get rejected. So this is the time. So so I don't know, what advice do you have for students on at this time of the year? What can students do? Whether it is, we can say, if you get rejection, what can you do? And if you get to the next stage, what can we do?
Good, great question. So if you get rejected,
Yeah.
firstly, kind of don't panic. Know that rejections are a completely normal part of the process. Every single student that we've helped to successfully secure a tier 2 graduate job, they've all had rejections. They've never had kind of perfect success rates every single time. And just remember that. So it's completely normal. And try not to take the rejection too personally. You know, the rejection could be for lots of different reasons. It could be that the company has already filled their places. They're not looking for any more graduates, unfortunately. It could be because they closed early. You know, sometimes they keep the deadline open, but they'd actually close it, you know, before that time, and you maybe were slightly too late, which is something, you know, you're not going to know. Of course, one reason for rejection could be your application, so your CV, your application form, and there could be something in there that didn't meet the requirements for the role. Okay, so you got automatically rejected. It could be the CV wasn't presented in a certain way, or your answers in your application form didn't cover the examples, or they didn't cover the criteria that the employer was looking for in your form. So lots and lots of reasons. But I think if I was a student and I've applied for like many companies and I'm getting rejected at the beginning stage for all of them, I would think to myself, there must be something in my application. Okay, there must be something I need to try doing differently and improving. And it's very difficult to look at your CV and see what could be improved, because you've seen it so many times. You know, we did a live CV review yesterday afternoon with Leenda, and we reviewed 5 different CVs. There were kind of little mistakes in all of them, and they were great. There was so much potential, but there was also so much room for improvement. And I think somebody else looking at it can tell you that, you know, in a much quicker way than you'd be able to do for yourself. And then another reason for rejection, it could be you're applying for the wrong job for you. You know, you've got these amazing skills, but the job is looking for another set of skills. So if there's a mismatch there, then obviously that's going to lead to a rejection as well. So just thinking about all these different things, and trying to decide where you think you're going wrong. And before getting rejected for another 10 companies, maybe stop and analyze your application and really understand what you're doing and the roles that you're applying for and whether they're suitable for you. So in a nutshell, if I was getting rejected all the time, I would stop applying for more companies. I would re-evaluate the jobs that I'm applying to, and I'd think, are they suitable for me? Have I got a good job strategy? Number 2, I would really look again at my CV and my application form and get some help, to be honest, before going through another round of rejections.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there. It is that the rejection is not just rejection itself. It is also a form of feedback, I would say. It's telling you that something is not working, and so that you can improve from it, right? So if you get the rejection, you kind of know that, okay, it's one of those things that you just mentioned. You know, apply to the wrong job. You know, it could be, you know, what you can improve, or it could be that, you know, there's nothing to do with you. You know, it could be something to do with the company. So it's just really good time to really look at what are the areas that you can do and you can improve. and also understand that there are areas that you can't do and you can improve as well. So yeah. And I think the good news is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, because the good news is you got rejected now. If you're graduating next year, you still have your visa until, if you're studying a master's now, if you're finishing your study in summer next year, you still have time to apply for more jobs. There are more jobs. There are jobs that's still opening, and there are jobs that's opening from January as well. So it is really important, like what you said, is to pause and look at it, so that the next batch of the opening, the jobs that you're going to send, the application that you're going to send out, make sure that you improve, because you don't want to repeat the same mistake. You don't want to cost you even more opportunities. So that is, I think, that's the good news, I would say, if you got rejected at this time of the year.
It is good news. It's not too late.
Yeah.
And see it as feedback, and try and learn from those rejections, and always try and look back on those as well and think, what could I have done differently? What could I do better next time?
Yep.
So it's not too late. But at the same time, know that for a lot of sponsoring companies, you can only apply once as well.
Yes.
In the recruitment cycle. So if you really want to work for a company, they're your dream job, don't waste that opportunity by sending out an application that you're not sure of. You don't have that confidence that it's going to go through to the interview stage. Because once you apply to that company, and if you get rejected, unfortunately, you won't be able to reapply until sometimes 6 months, sometimes 12 months later. So you've got all these amazing tier 2 job opportunities, but you've got to be careful about not wasting them, because they're very valuable, and companies often just give you one chance every recruitment cycle, every academic year, to apply. So.
Yeah. And what about for students? Let's talk a little bit about for students who actually got to the next stage, what is the potential next stage once you submit the application and the CV?
Yeah, so potential next stage would be an invitation to do an online test. Sometimes that's sent, you get the link at the same time of your application, so it can be exactly the same. So an online test or an online assessment could be a numerical test, a verbal reasoning test. It could be a situational based judgment test, which can be a bit tricky because employers are looking to see how you'd react in certain situations, which very closely relate to that job. Okay, so it's quite interesting, I think, for students to do those kind of tests, because they understand, I might actually face this situation when I'm working for that company. You also have games-based testing, which is kind of common for, I think, engineering roles as well, technology roles. They can be a little bit more tricky to prepare for, but there's a lot of information that you can find out online about games-based tests, so that you can be prepared and you can practice. So all of these things require you to brush up on your skills, okay? And there's no real shortcut to doing that. It's practice tests. It's just really getting them to a point where you feel confident to do a timed test and you can pass it. So if you are lacking in numerical skills, for example, or you're not studying a degree which requires a lot of math skills, you might just need to go back and kind of revisit that and practice and improve. So you have online assessments, then obviously the video interview, and normally it is video, and a lot of the time it's pre-recorded. So for example, a software like HireVue, and you have to do a pre-recorded interview. You'll be given a time limit and a little bit of time to prepare after you get the question, and then a fixed amount of time to deliver your answer. You definitely can prepare for these. So not preparing for them thoroughly is kind of one of the biggest mistakes you can make. So before you're even invited for a video interview, you can start creating your cheat sheet of interview answers. You know, what answers are you going to give to typical motivation questions? For example, why do you want to work for the company? Why do you want to do this role? And do the same thing for competency questions, strengths-based questions, etc. So that you've got all of your best examples ready and practiced and well structured before you even take your video interview. So I think that will really help. Of course, there might be some surprise questions, but having done all of that preparation and research beforehand will give you that confidence, and that confidence will come across in your video interview.
Yeah,
those tends to be the next couple of steps.
Yeah, I really like that the interview, because there's so much that you can do to prepare. There's so much you can do to prepare. Now, we would like to, if we can share a lot of things about how to prepare, but sometimes I find it really difficult to share, as in to talk about kind of how to prepare for interviews. One of the reasons is because I find that it is very individual. It's very individual with the students. That kind of so, for example, the question that you mentioned, the typical motivation question was, why would you want to work for this company? So you will always get this question almost in every interviews, that the early stages interviews, so video interviews, all that. And a lot of students might be thinking that, can you tell me how should I answer this question, right? So, I wish that there is a straightforward, easy format that you should answer. Maybe we can give some guidance, but ultimately it's very difficult to, not difficult, this is very, every student is different, So I think what is the important thing that I would like to bring up just for students who watch this video later is that just imagine the recruiter will be looking at however many applications. Everyone is answering the same questions. If you are going into getting a generic advice and trying to come up with a generic answer of why do you want to work for this particular company, number one, you're not going to be able to stand out. Okay, number two, you're not going to impress them because you're not going to stand out. They won't remember you. Sometimes not because you're bad, because you're so average, just like everyone else. So that is the reason why they don't remember you. After I've seen probably 5-10 application, I probably don't remember. Even sometimes, like us, we talk to so many students. We confuse these students with the other students. It's just because there's so many students that's come to us. So it's about, I think it's really important to remember that it's about how you need to be really unique in your answer. That is also so that it doesn't come across as rehearsed. It comes across as genuine motivation. Why do you want to work for this company? I remember a couple of years ago, there was a student that came to us quite late, towards the end, almost the end of his visa. He did really, really well coming towards the end of his assessment center. And he got rejection after the final stage. And the reason was the rejection was given in one of the big four was that they didn't believe him about why he wanted to work for this company. Not that they didn't say they didn't believe him, but basically that's what they meant. They said that they don't really, they're not convinced, in comparison with another student, like probably the final two or something. So I think that is so important. And also, this is also the reason why we do a lot of one-to-one coaching for students, because every application that you send as an international student is unique. We can help you as much as we want here, because we want to, when we're doing kind of YouTube live like this or live Q&A question, we can go to the structure, kind of how it should be. But ultimately, the most efficient way or the most effective way for international students to pass through these stages is you need to come up with something very unique, the unique answer that you can actually use for your interviews. So so that's why I thought that it's really important to highlight that you need to be genuine, you need to come across with all these details, otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to pass the next stages or any stages, even including your CV. So generic template is good just to get you started, but you need a lot more work than that if you want to really secure a job.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it can be difficult to find that genuine motivation after applying to so many different jobs. But one really good way to find that is by kind of researching the company, looking at all the benefits that they give you, the salary. As a student, this was going to be so exciting for you. You're going to go from having, student living to a regular great graduate salary. So that should be a huge motivator. I know it was for me when I first had my graduate job, which was in finance. So just think about all of the things you're going to benefit from. Then usually companies have lots and lots of lists of things that they want to give you, and they want to highlight. So they put it in the job description or the company website. They do really look after their grads. So hopefully this will motivate you and get you excited about working there. But speak to people who are on a graduate program right now in the company that you're applying to. A quick call with them will help you to see what your life after graduating is going to look like, your day-to-day roles, your day-to-day responsibilities. And the way to kind of connect to those people is networking. So through your own network would be amazing. But another way is LinkedIn. And I'm absolutely a massive advocate for LinkedIn. It's such a good platform. If you don't know it, it's a kind of professional networking platform which all employers and recruiters use. So don't think that it's only a small percentage. Actually, it is used by every single employer and graduate recruiter that you're going to come into contact with. So if you've got a presence on there, and if it's a really good presence, you've got something interesting in your profile, it's at least complete, you've got a good professional photo, good information about you, some recommendations would be amazing. But do use LinkedIn to reach out to other people as well. So people who are doing the grad scheme, people who are recruiting for that role as well, don't be afraid to contact them. Yes, they probably receive a lot of similar messages, but just be polite, introduce yourself and ask them if they've got time for a quick 15-minute call. I think they actually really want to help you and want to speak to you. That's what their role is, to find, good talent. So do take that time. And honestly, the information that you'll get from a phone call with a recruiter or from a phone call with a current graduate will be so much more than you potentially would get from the company website, and you can ask them very honestly, are you enjoying this role? What has the biggest challenges been, etc. And it would just help you decide if that company is right for you as well. And the best case scenario is it will kind of fuel your motivation to work there. And that will come across in your application, it will come across in your interview. So these things are so important. You think it's something that you can skip, but actually having that genuine motivation and really understanding why you're applying and having a good reason is important. And that alone will help you stand out, because not every student is going to be going on LinkedIn, connecting to people and speaking to people and being proactive. In our experience of doing this for years, I'd say maybe 10% of international students that we come across are so proactive that they're doing all of these things. So they're actually factoring in networking as part of their job strategy, And that actually makes a huge difference in the end. So always ask yourself, what can I do differently from anybody else? And how can I just take that extra step? How can I show initiative and be more proactive?
Yeah.
So just something to think about.
Yeah, I think what you said something that is really important, but I think hasn't been highlighted enough for a lot of international students, or anyone else, is the effort that you put in, the extra steps that you put in there. It's not just it is not just doing the action to show the recruiter, but it's just that when you actually do the work to understand. So for example, like you said, contacting somebody that who works there, ask them this question and that, through the conversation you actually gain something, and it changes you when you present yourself. Those things are very subtle. It's not straightforward thing. It's not like you do A and then you see B result, but it has so much impact that you would come across in the interview. Let's say if you talk to 5 people that who works in the company compared to students that didn't talk to anyone, you naturally is going to have so much more to say, because you know so much more. And these things is not something that's very obvious, but it's so impactful and so powerful. And, it's just so much that it's from that work. It's not just showing the recruiter, but it's actually come across when you actually writing your cover letter, or actually doing your video interviews or assessment center. It actually shows that it come across. You might not be consciously knowing this is exactly what it is, but it helps you so much that you don't see them straight away.
And you trust us, it really does make a difference, and you're not wasting your time by doing these things. I think, having a networking strategy, using LinkedIn actively, and having a good presence, I think are essential. I think it's not an extra thing. I think it's a necessity now, actually. And remember, this whole process is all about standing out. Okay, you already stand out as an international student, but how can you go that extra mile and make that extra effort? And also, one way to obviously build your network, but also kind of increase your motivation, because I think at this point of the year, if you have had rejections, it's totally common, I think, to feel a little bit pessimistic, a little bit negative about your chances of securing a job in the UK, because it is difficult. It's always been a difficult process for international students. Plus, we've got COVID-19 this year. So I've seen that in students that I've spoken to as well. They're just lacking a bit of motivation, needing a little bit more positivity and motivation. And one way I think you can do this, probably the best way, is to hear from international students who've secured tier 2 jobs, directly speaking to them, or, watching interviews with them and finding out, well, what did they do? How did they get their job? Where are they working? It could be a company that you've not heard of before. What was the process like of actually securing the visa? Just lots and lots of information you're going to learn, and it's going to feel like it's real and it's possible. If they can do it, then you can do it too. And I don't think anything else can really beat that. And if you are having one of those weeks, you're feeling a little bit lacking in motivation, then I would encourage you to, we've got videos within the YouTube channel where we speak to tier 2 job offer holders about their experience. So definitely give that a watch. And then inside our careers platform, Tier 2 Launchpad, and I will share the link with you in the chat. But inside that, we do regular interviews with tier 2 job offer holders, because it's we can give you so much advice, and we can tell you these are the things you need to do, these are the key success factors. But I think hearing directly from a student who is exactly the same position as you, on a tier 4 visa, wanting to secure a job, hearing their story, hearing how it wasn't a smooth process, that they also got rejected as well. They also found it difficult, but they got to the other side and they got to the job offer stage, and now they're working for, you know, a great company in an exciting role. That, I think, will give you confidence that it's possible. So if that's you and you can relate to feeling like that, definitely go and have a look at our interviews with job offer holders.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are so helpful. And also, we can only tell you this much. You know, you need a lot more information, and not just the information, you also need to take action. So once you watch all these things, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do in order to give you the results that you want? So yeah, so it you know, have you kind of look at what are the things that you can improve from this rejection, or how can you prepare better for your interviews? You know, we are always here ready to help. Great Careers, we have all these different, we have our Tier 2 Launchpad, we have all the videos on YouTube channel, we have our one-to-one coaching programs. All these things are going to, you know, are ready to provide for you if you're ready to, you know, want this service, want this to help, the professional guidance. So that is really important. It's getting yourself ready and commit to it. If you are not committed, usually you're not going to see the results because it's difficult. Yeah. So you need to commit to it, because you're going to get rejection. And it's what are you going to do with that? You know, now that you have rejection, you know that the next January kind of coming up, December, January time, what can you do to prepare? And, you know, more information and guidance, coaching, all these things, you need to take them into consideration. If you're not committed, it's very likely that you're not going to think about all that thing. But if you're committed, you really want a Tier 2 job, and ask yourself, what does it mean for you getting a Tier 2 job? You know, how would it change your life? What does it mean for you? So yeah, so if you need anything, any help, contact us. You know, we have all this social media platform on YouTube. Leave us a message, leave comments on these videos, ask questions, because all these things would make a difference to your next application or the next stage of your application.
Yeah, perfect. And Jan's so right. It is about taking action. There's, you know, you've got all the information, you know, you've probably gone to your university career service, you've probably spoken to, you know, lots of other people, you have the information, but, you know, it's about taking action now, definitely. Yep. So we are going to conclude today's live session. We hope it's been helpful. And if you are watching this later, please do still submit questions in the comments, and know that we'll be back again next week for another live Q&A. So you can join us there and ask any questions that you have. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, and remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. So click the subscribe button, and there is a little bell as well. Click the little bell, so that whenever we go live or whenever we have new videos that premiere this week, today, this afternoon, we have a new video live. So if you want to watch, I think today is the video with one of our students, Rene. So you will have a look at, you know, his experience on how he got a job, and he will talk a little bit about that. So please do subscribe to this channel so that you will see more content and more information that we put out here for you.
Yeah, and hit the bell.
Hit the bell, yes.
But if you don't hit the bell, then you don't get the notification.
That's
so
right.
Subscribe and then just hit
the bell
icon on the top right-hand side. Thanks, everyone, and see you again next week. Bye.
See you, bye.